mask fanatics and other mask addicts and mask fanatics. Welcome to the Mask Fan Attic, where we look for cool, old, interesting Halloween masks. And tonight is no exception. Tonight I have dug up here in the attic, look at this, a very rare one from Don Post Studios. One of the last products ever to come from Don Post Studios before they were unceremoniously bought and shut down in 2012. And that would be the Motel Hell Pig. That's right, the Motel Hell Pig. And well, it's kind of easy to spot it here, you know. People talk about not seeing the elephant in the room, but it's similarly difficult to avoid the giant bloody hog's head in the room. Now, this particular pig, as you can see, came with the Motel Hell Studio official logo right on the tag there, and it's a very large mask. In case you can't tell, it's full size. You know, it's well, it's beautifully sculpted, if I may use the term beautiful with regard to a giant bloody hog's head. It's beautifully sculpted. It's nicely sculpted. It's realistically and professionally sculpted, let's say, by the legendary Bruce Spalding Fuller. The only guy I know who can have his name listed in the phone book as Fuller BS. Think about it. Sculpted this wonderful piece for Don Post Studios. Now, as I was saying a moment ago, if you were out of the room just then, this was one of the last products ever made by Don Post Studios, the people who made mask history and basically started the whole mask business, and certainly the mask collecting hobby. And well, not that many of these were produced. A number of them are like this, just the mask, and then others came with a costume. And the costume consisted of like a bib overalls, like a farmer would wear, and a red plaid shirt. The bib overalls were okay, but the plaid shirt was cheesy, and you'd be better off to go to your local Goodwill Industries or Badwill Industries or some sort of thrift store and find yourself an old plaid work shirt, and it would probably look better than the one that came with the costume. Now, unfortunately, the costume tended to be packed, crammed into a plastic bag, and the accompanying mask took a beating in a lot of cases. So sometimes the mask that came with the costume doesn't look quite as good as the mask that was made individually, because, or sold individually I should say, because they kind of crushed them and smashed them. And well, at this point in Don Post history, any notion of anything like quality control was kind of gone and forgotten anyway, because these things were cast thin. This is very thin rubber. The only reason it looks so great and it holds its shape so well is because it is foam lined. Can you see that? That's a foam liner, and I'm going to hold it right up there so it'll look just like it would look if you were putting on the mask. Wow! Isn't that an amazing effect? Gee whiz, the things they can do with videography these days, hmm? But the Bruce Spalding Fuller Motel Hell Pig from Don Post Studios never quite made it into full production beyond a few factory samples. So there aren't a lot of these out there, and well, other than the thin floppy casting, the questionable quality of the latex because of the thin casting, other than that, this is a pretty great mask. It looks very nice on display. Okay, once again, nice, not the best choice of words. It looks appropriately horrific and disgusting, just like you like it. And really, the eyes are very very nicely painted. Look at those eyes. That's pretty deluxe paint job right there on those eyes. Blood was pretty good, and well, where you see out of is actually his mouth, and I don't know if you can make that out, but there's a bit of black mesh fabric in that opening in the mouth, and that's where the wearer of the Motel Hell Pig mask would actually be looking out of. Now, if you like slasher movies from the 80s, and I'm assuming you do, because gosh, who doesn't? If you like slasher movies from the 80s, you may remember Motel Hell. It was a very silly film that came out in 1980, and was kind of in the vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, that kind of thing, but campy, obviously kind of a spoof of itself. Actually, it was one of the first of entirely too many movies in the 80s that couldn't decide whether they were comedies or not. Most of them did that badly, but Motel Hell did it better than most, I think. It's got blood in the fur. There's a strip of fur, and I know that looks weird. He's kind of a mohawk pig, or a mohog, I guess you'd call that. Come on, that wasn't bad. Mohawk? That was funny. Come on, laugh. That was all right. It's got that weird-looking strip of hair down the middle. That's the way it looked in the movie. That's actually fairly accurate for them to do that. And really, the sculpture is very accurate. The only problem is the thin castings. And again, if you get one that was packaged with the costume, it's probably going to be crushed and distorted even worse. Now, several of these came through the Dr. Lady residence here. Well, not this part of it, not the attic, but the building, for a little bit of sprucing up and renovation. And really, the paint, pretty good. But the foam liner tended to not really fit very well. And a lot of times the foam liner would be out of alignment from the time spent in spent in storage, packaged in storage. That's what I was going for. Can we edit that? I didn't think so. The time spent packed in storage caused some of the masks to have their foam liners crushed and distorted, and they would pull loose at random places from the rubber because they weren't really glued in all that well, and, well, to be honest, not really constructed all that well either. So a good thing, if you do get your hands on one of these masks, a good thing you may want to do is go ahead and pull the liner away from the latex on a lot of the inside and re-glue it properly in such a fashion that it is not stretching or pulling or stressing or distorting the latex in any areas. And to do that, you may need to do what we've done here, which is shove a little bit of quilt batting, which is well, it's what's inside a quilt for the most part. Quilt batting, also sometimes used for like plush animal, like stuffed animal stuffing. Get some of that and stuff it up in there where any place where the latex is maybe caved in or buckled in from not being attached so well to the foam liner. The mask will look better and it will last a lot longer because you won't be stressing and stretching and bending the latex in any unnatural way. You see? Sure you do. And that's all I have to say about that, really. Check eBay and check some of your online costume dealers, because some places actually did get a few of these before Don Post Studios went under. So there are a few of them out there floating around, and this looks just like the one worn by Rory Calhoun, or more likely his stunt double, in the 1980 movie Motel Hell. So if you can get your hoofs on one of these, you can certainly have fun at Halloween next year, or even at Thanksgiving, frightening the neighbors' kids with the giant bloody hog's head. And I would put it on, except where I'm standing in the attic, I actually don't have room to do that. It's too inconvenient. So let's just go do something else now, shall we?